Venezuelan opposition candidate for president Edmundo González has arrived in Spain. He left Caracas in the wake of a government crackdown. González had taken refuge in the Spanish embassy in Caracas after a court issued a warrant for his arrest. President Nicolás Maduro declared victory in July's election. The opposition insists González won the majority of the vote. Well, the latest political crisis began earlier this year when the Supreme Court upheld a ban preventing the opposition's nominee for president, Maria Corina Machado, from holding public office for 15 years. In March, backed by Machado, former diplomat Edmundo González was chosen to run in her place. The Electoral Council and Venezuela's highest court declared President Nicolás Maduro the winner of July's election. Maduro confirmed the result, but the opposition says it has proof González won. In August, González took refuge in the Spanish embassy in Caracas after a judge issued a warrant for his arrest. He's accused of offences including conspiracy and falsifying documents. And on Saturday, Spain granted González political asylum, with Venezuela's government agreeing to his safe passage. Well, Vanessa Newman is president of Asymmetrica, a political risk research and strategic communications firm. She's also a former ambassador of Venezuela to the UK. She joins us now from Madrid. Welcome to the programme. So what do you make of Edmundo González turning up in Spain? Is it much of a surprise?
Well, it's disheartening, to say the least, because he did, all evidence is that he did win the election. And we can confirm this because Maduro has not published the results. He absolutely refuses to because they're not falsifiable, so he cannot produce the data. And the releases of the data that have been produced by Maria Corina Machado's parallel sort of observation counts confirm that Edmundo González won. So in effect, he is the president-elect. Venezuela is very widely against Maduro, even much more so than when I was ambassador, which was 2019 and 2020, for then the then recognized Juan Guaidó, and it was it's a very different country now. So it's a shame that in effect the president-elect was elected by a sort of a 3-1 margin. All evidence suggests that has had to flee. Maduro's doing what he's done always, is repress the opposition and cut off the heads, literally decapitate any leadership from the opposition and send them fleeing. I understand that González was facing very strong repression. Being arrested in Venezuela is no joke. You can face many years of very severe torture. I have personal friends who have spent years in surgeries just to recover from the torture. So it's no picnic, and the threat is very real. And I know Edmundo González personally. He's a lovely, soft-spoken, charming, decent, honourable man who
OK,
really
well, let me just ask you this, if I may. Forgive me for interrupting, but what does this mean now for the opposition, with one of the opposition candidates no longer even in the country?
Well, he's not really, as I said, he's viewed as a president-elect by most Venezuelans. It's very tough. It leaves Maria Corina Machado solely on the ground. It enables Edmundo González to try and agitate, for more international support, which I'm sure that he will do, as the tour around, the international community. But it's to lose the leader being on the ground, it's very hard to motivate the uprisings, not the uprisings, but the groundswell. And I think that 1 in 4 Venezuelans have already fled. And Venezuelans are saying, there's a poll that 40% of the remaining Venezuelans are now planning just to leave the country. A mass exodus of huge, huge historic proportions. And Edmundo González's exit will further trigger that, I'm afraid.
You mentioned international support. I mean, how is the rest of the region, and indeed beyond that, reacting to all of this?
Well, it's very interesting, and it's very interesting that Sanchez put him on a plane. The Spanish president put him on a plane and granted him asylum, because what has happened and what you see is that Maduro is having a tiff even with his, buddies in the legitimately elected leftist governments of the region. And Spain is a leftist government. that did not recognize Juan Guaido. The mayor of Madrid did, and I traveled with Guaido at the time, but not Spain. But now they are taking in González, and that has turned as well. And Maduro's also having a spat with Lula of Brazil, who's one of his best friends, because they have taken over the representation of Argentina, which is, of course, a rightist leader, because Maduro kicked out their diplomatic, their ambassador, and has encircled embassies there. So even, the old friends, Spain, Brazil, we're waiting to see what happens with Colombia and Mexico, who might be the last legitimately elected left-wing leaders of the region to pull their support from Maduro. But if you're legitimately elected, standing beside a repressive dictator who imprisons the opposition and won't publish the results of the election is not a good look. And I think that it's starting to fracture the left.
OK, we leave it there. Vanessa Newman, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. Always a pleasure.